when I saw the draw, I was like, wow, that's a tough first round, like second round for me. But she's a great player. And, this year some good things are happening. I'm beating players that I never beat before. So it means I'm on the right way. So, yeah.
She held a commanding 5-1 lead in the second set. A former French Open champion on clay, standing across the net at a WTA 500 event. This was Jelena Ostapenko, the woman who lifted the Roland Garros trophy, who had crushed players like Swiatek, Alexandrova, and Sabalenka on the same surface in Stuttgart the previous year. A former Linz champion, now visibly unraveling. She was leaking double faults and showing clear frustration as the match slipped away from her.
I was down in the second set and I told myself, okay, I'm gonna fight. I will do everything possible. I will fight till the end this set, and if there is a third set, it's fine. I still have another chance, but I think it worked pretty well. Like, I started to play my game, and
Alex Eala was just 1 point away from serving for the third set against Jelena Ostapenko on clay. Then everything fell apart, not gradually, not with any warning signs, but suddenly and completely. In 6 straight games, Ostapenko, a French Open champion, did exactly what champions do when backed into a corner. She exploded with flat, powerful, ruthless tennis. By the end, she had fired 41 winners. The final score read 6-4, 7-5. The comeback was complete and the match was gone. Eala, who had looked poised for most of that second set to achieve something remarkable on clay, in only the second WTA 500 clay match of her career, walked off the court, having lost a match she was clearly winning. The WTA had been closely following Alex Eala all season. They saw her defeat Swiatek, dominate in Dubai, and deliver press conferences that even outshone Alcaraz and Sinner. They thought they knew her story. What happened in Linz on Wednesday night revealed something new. She nearly pulled off a massive upset on clay against a Grand Slam champion in just her second WTA clay match, ever building a lead so strong that Ostapenko was spraying double faults and showing visible frustration at 5-1, down. She came incredibly close, and the clay season has only just begun.
No, I think I kept the intensity well throughout the match. She's a very intense player and has really good shots, so I'm really happy with the win.
That was Tuesday, just 24 hours before the Ostapenko match. She had defeated Austria's top player, saving 9 out of 10 break points in her very first WTA clay match of the season. She spoke about intensity, happiness, and Austrian hospitality like someone who truly belonged there, not like a player who had barely competed on clay at WTA level before. Then Wednesday arrived. When Ostapenko stepped onto the court, everything, the form, the surface, the rankings, the history suggested it would be a straightforward win for the Latvian. Ostapenko had won the 2017 French Open on clay. She had claimed this exact tournament, the Linz Open, in 2024. She carried a 62.5% career win rate on clay and had demolished 3 top 1-0 players in Stuttgart the year before. On paper, Eala ranked world number 46, playing only her second career WTA clay match, with a modest 39.5% win rate on the surface, was a clear underdog. Nobody told her that. And for most of the match, it showed.
This tournament has a really long history, so I'm super excited to be here. It's obviously a great tournament, 500 level on clay. I think this will be my first 500 on clay, so I think that says a lot about my improvement from last year. So I think, I have to take it in with, in my stride, and I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And, she said that those courts were put up in 5 days. They're temporary courts. So I was wondering, how is it playing? How do you like the courts, especially the center?
My first 5-0-0 level tournament on clay, I think that says a lot about how much I've improved since last year. So I just have to take it in my stride and stay excited. She mentioned it casually, as if it were a minor milestone. But consider what she was really describing. Last year, she entered Madrid as a wild card and lost in the second round. At Roland Garros, she fell in the first round. Her clay experience was so limited that experts spent the entire pre-tournament period questioning whether her game could adapt to the red dirt at all. Yet in just the second match of her first serious clay campaign, she had Jelena Ostapenko, a French Open champion, down 5-1 the second set, with the Latvian showing visible frustration and piling up double faults, first 500 on clay. Second match ever at this level on this surface. And she almost closed it out. That is not a small detail. That is a powerful early signal of what's coming. Now let's break down exactly what happened, because the scoreline of 4-6, 7-5 doesn't tell the full story. The real story is far more impressive for Eala and far more concerning for every player she will face in the coming weeks. The first set was tight early on. Both players held serve as the match found its rhythm. Eala struck first, breaking to lead 4-2 and putting the French Open champion under pressure on clay in the Linz quarterfinals. But Ostapenko, who has broken hearts on clay for over a decade, broke straight back. Then, with the fearless aggression she's known for, she reeled off 4 games in a row to take the first set 6-4. It looked like the expected script was unfolding, experience winning out on the surface, the ranking gap showing, and the press already preparing stories about Ostapenko being too strong for Eala on clay. But when Eala returned for the second set, she did something unexpected. She took complete control from the very first point. She stepped inside the baseline, dictated play, and broke Ostapenko immediately, then broke again to race into a 4-0 lead. Ostapenko looked rattled, spraying double faults and showing the kind of frustration opponents usually feel against Eala. The momentum had completely shifted. When Ostapenko briefly broke back, Eala responded instantly by breaking once more to lead 5-1. 5-1 in the second set. One more service hold, and she would have been serving for the match.
I think I've matured a lot in the past year. I've been put in a lot of high pressure moments, a lot of big stages, which I am so grateful for and wouldn't trade for the world. But being back in the 4th round, it makes me feel the same as I did last year. I'm so happy, I'm so excited, and it's such a privilege to be back in Miami.
This was the highest pressure moment she had faced in Austria, serving to force a third set against a Grand Slam champion on clay. Everything she had built, the breaks, the precision, the baseline control now rested on that single game. What happened next is what Eala will likely study closely in Stuttgart over the coming week. It also highlights exactly what she still needs to develop. The ceiling that her coach, Greg Ruseski, has spoken about: the serve, physical strength, and the ability to close out big matches when leading remains the final barrier between her current level and her full potential. Ostapenko found another gear. From 5-1 down, the French Open champion rediscovered her rhythm. Her flat shots started landing cleanly, and the winners began raining down. For Eala, who had been dominating and playing the better tennis, her serve couldn't generate enough easy points once Ostapenko began swinging freely. Ostapenko won 6 games in a row. The match ended 6-4, 7-5. The winner count painted a stark picture: 41 winners for Ostapenko, only 9 for Eala. 41-9, despite Eala having led 5-1 inch the second set. I think I have different strengths as well, not just power, different layers to my game. Those layers showed in Linz. The tactical patience that built the 5-1 lead, that was one layer. The sharp return game that created unexpected breaks, another layer. The defensive resilience that saved 9 of 10 break points in her first match against Grober, yet another layer. But when Ostapenko unleashed 41 winners, Eala's defensive layer, the ability to absorb heavy pace and counterpunch effectively, showed it is still under construction against a player of this quality on clay. Not because she lacks it, but because she is still developing it. Here is the most important takeaway from Linz. A 2-0 year, old in only her second WTA clay match, during her first proper clay season, pushed a French Open champion right to the edge. She didn't just compete or make it close. She led 5-1 inch the second set, forced Ostapenko into visible frustration and double faults, and had the crowd expecting a deciding set. That is not a defeat to feel ashamed of. It is the most dangerous kind of loss, because it shows everyone, including all her future opponents, that the gap is rapidly closing. On clay, the surface where she has the most room to improve, she is already competitive with Grand Slam champions at WTA 500 level after just her second match of the season.
She's been at the Rafael Nadal Academy for multiple years. We talked about the serve being better. It's going to be harder for people to hit a hole through her. It's going to be much more physically combative. And as you said, being at the academy with Rafa on clay, he's spent a lot of time with her. So she knows what to do.
She's too good a player not to reach the top 10. Greg Ruseski said that before Linz, before she went to Austria and built a 5-1 lead in the second set against a French Open champion on clay in only her second WTA clay match. What does he say now? The real story in Linz wasn't the final score of 6-4, 7-5 inches favor of Ostapenko, a result that looked predictable on paper. The real story was the journey, the 5-1 second set lead, Ostapenko's visible frustration, the double faults from the French Open champion, and the 6-game collapse that taught Eala a crucial lesson in closing matches. You can't learn how to finish a match like that without experiencing it. You can't develop killer instinct at 5-1 without being in that exact position, needing to close it out, and discovering how it feels when you don't. That was the lesson Linz gave her. And Ruseski, a former US Open finalist who knows what it takes to close out big matches against fighting opponents, would instantly recognize the value of what she just learned. I did not expect that there would be many of you here in Linz, but thank you for following my matches. See you tomorrow. She said it live on court in Austria in Tagalog, with Filipino flags waving in the stands of a city where no one expected to see them. She said see you tomorrow right after beating Austria's #1 in her home event because she fully believed she would be back on that court. After the Ostapenko match, she heads to Stuttgart, another WTA 500 she has never played before, on a surface she is still mastering. Her opponents there will have studied the Linz footage. They will have seen the 5-1 second set lead and the 6-game collapse. They will try to use that blueprint, get her serving at 5-1, then attack. But they will also see something else. To reach that moment, they first have to survive 45 minutes of second set tennis, where she was the one dictating, breaking serve, and making a French Open champion look like the underdog. The WTA has watched Alex Eala destroy hard-court opponents for the past year. They know her hard-court game inside out. They have the videos, the strategies, and 12 months of preparation. Now they are discovering her clay game in real time, just as she is discovering it herself. And what they are seeing in only the second match of her first proper clay season is not simply a player learning the surface. It is a player who almost defeated a French Open champion using the very first version of her clay game. The 5-1 second set lead happened. The double faults from Ostapenko happened. The frustration on the champion's face happened. The crowd expecting a third set happened. Stuttgart is next, followed by Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros. Every opponent who watches the Linz footage and sees that 5-1 lead before the collapse will ask themselves one dangerous question. What happens when she learns how to close it out? That question is the most threatening message Alex Eala has sent to the tennis world this week, not the defeat itself, but the commanding 5-1 lead that came before it. Linz lit the spark. Stuttgart is already feeling the heat. If that Linz match fired you up and you believe the clay season is only getting started, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.